course.
I'm
Absolutely.
making sense.
No, you are making a lot of sense. I'm speaking with Ava Vidal, the comedian from London, England, and talking about some of the things that she's going through right now. She's a very, very talented comedian and an activist, and someone who speaks and makes lots of appearances on talk shows, is prominent in England, and someone who has been in comedy now for a minute, as they say.
Yeah, don't say the number of years.
I won't.
No, genuinely, like 20 years now. 20 years now.
Wow. And
Yeah, I did my first BBC thing in 2002,
oh, yeah,
the Urban
wow,
Sketch Show.
excellent.
20 years.
And I do hope that people do look for these particular places or venues online on comedy where you have your work. And I'm sure you can talk about that in a few moments. But one of the things I did want to ask you about is the situation that you've been talking about, and everyone who's listening is listening to this very clearly and carefully. It's very complicated and very painful for you. And I'm sure that um, you are looking for people to really give you some support. I'm sure you have some support in terms of people that you reach out to, but the listening audience here, listening to you now, what can the audience here do to help you here? Because it seems like there's a lot of different things that are a lot of different moving parts, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going through legal things at the moment. So I have got, like, I'm raising funds to go to court, really. And everybody pretty much knows that, like, defamation law and stuff like that is for the rich, really. It's for people who can afford. But then we also can't afford to have some of these things said about us. And there's been some horrendous things said about me. And, you know, I kind of, it comes a point when people say so much about you that what are you going to do? I learned quite a few years ago, um, when people are saying a lot of stuff about you, shut up. Just shut up. If you haven't done it, shut up. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
what do you want me to say? Because you end up getting sucked into what they want you to get sucked into. So you're going back, you did it, no, you did it, you did it, and you did it, and you did it. And I'm like, I'm not saying nothing. So it just ends up with the other person going, you did it, you did it, you did it, you did it. And I'm not even looking. Do you know what I mean? That's a better way to deal with it. And it takes a lot to do that. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, learned from lots of experiences from Black women, Black feminists. Like, I never had a good relationship with my mum. So Maya Angelou was my mum in my head. So I read all her stuff. And so you sort of read and experiences and you speak. And I remember working in South Africa, um, being in a hairdresser in South Africa. And this woman said, this, obviously we're all Black in that hairdresser, and she said, what do you wish your mum had told you? And then women went around and said, oh, I wish my mum had told me, you know, no offense, how awful men are, how bad they can be, and
You're
how
not
they can
offending
ruin
me.
your
I talk about how awful men are too, so that's okay. That's perfectly all right.
life.
Believe me,
So
I
yeah,
do. I'm not even joking about that.
yeah.
As a
So
straight man too, saying that's like the men are terrible.
yeah.
They're pigs.
See, that's a decent straight man. The one who just doesn't go, oh, not me, not all of us, not me. Stop that, please, child. Sorry. So yeah, it's so I remember hearing that, and so what I will make sure I do is I make sure I speak to younger Black women as well about stuff that I see. I go, well, I had no one to tell me that. I'm kind of self-taught, and maybe you might want to take some leisure time, do some self-care, make sure you look after yourself. It's not easy as a Black woman in this world. Like, you know, make sure you've got your sister friends, make sure you've got this, make sure you've got that. And it's one of those things that I think you've got to pass on. I think that is a really sort of a very African thing to do. That's where it all
Definitely.
comes from. It comes from our cultures over there, and